Mika Mioda, a name you probably haven't heard of, but maybe you've heard his music before, or seen this TikTok before. From going under two different aliases that later begin to merge, to Brazilian dance music, to a certainly interesting marketing tactic that made me feel like I was going down a rabbit hole. There's plenty to talk about when it comes to one of my favorite artists ever. Seriously, I've only been listening to his music since early this year and he's already my top artist. And since I've only been a fan somewhat recently, please let me know if I get anything wrong in this video. I feel like every week I learn something new about this enigma of an artist. And quick disclaimer, don't expect a super informational, in-depth, iceberg-esque analysis. It's kind of service level stuff, but I want to talk about it anyway. Mika is a Florida-based Nicaraguan artist and is the mind behind the personas temcandoanything and 16x9 krollo. Temcandoanything being more focused on production, whereas krollo is more focused on vocals. Temcandoanything is the more popular persona, and as of writing this on the 17th of July 2026, has 214,000 monthly listeners, with the most popular song being Get To Me, gathering 3.3 million streams. But really what I want to talk about is the 16x9 krollo persona, as I think it's the most interesting. But before that, I want to delve into the name Mika Mioda really quick. The name is a combination of Mika Iwakura from Serial Experiments Lane and Ibuki Mioda from Danganronpa 2, as seen by, yeah, this. Well, not exactly the person to talk to about Lane, since I haven't seen it yet. I've got plenty to say about Danganronpa. I'll look at my profile picture. And I think it's worth mentioning, as we see plenty of little Danganronpa samples throughout all of his works under krollo, and in some of the themes of these songs being slaying the demons of despair to bring a rise to hope, and the fact he has albums named Goodbye Despair and Hope's Peak. Also gives a little insight on how I got into his music. Really quick before we get in, just a reminder to like and subscribe. It'll take you like 2 seconds and it really helps me out. 16x9 krollo is definitely my favorite persona by Mika. Under this persona, Mika takes on the character of an anti-hero angel, slaying metaphorical demons to protect himself and those he loves while also making some fire song. This anti-hero angel character is also absolutely a character, as stated by Mika himself. It seems the tweets he made about this have been deleted, but on my soul I remember he tweeted about krollo being a character and not someone who'll stab you, and it's actually just a dude who plays Fortnite. But I can't find it and I feel like I'm going crazy. That aside, krollo is a character. He isn't actually an anti-hero angel who's gonna jump you or kill you and turn your ears into a wall as he's just rapping. Also want to talk about the symbol which serves as his logo for the persona. Apparently, according to Google, it's a 4 club spoked asterisk, and I don't really know if it serves any purpose other than being aesthetic. And I imagine this was on purpose, but the spokes kind of resemble dowsing chains, which is also used for imagery for Mika, and there's a whole song named Dowsing Chain, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm getting so off topic, oh my god. Back to the music. Well, basically every project takes on a different genre. I'd say krollo is some more rap/digicore focused projects, with standouts like Goodbye Despair and I16x9 really leaning to these genres to the point where I would call krollo a rapper. Our tale begins in 2022 when Mika released Directory Drive Collection as a debut LP, which is now only available on SoundCloud. It's sort of digicore-y, lo-fi, and to be honest, the first time I listened to this was when I was writing the script, so yeah, but it's pretty good. Didn't age perfectly, but I'd say it's more than an acceptable listen. This is then met with a sequel, with my main standout being Kishibe. I think it goes so hard. After this, we get some singles, but one of these is pretty important. Teto. This actually isn't a single, and is instead the only surviving remnant of the Trigger Happy Havoc mixtape that it remains on Spotify. What happened to it? Did most of it get copyrighted and become lost media? No. Yeah, he just didn't like it. I'm sure this is the same reason Directory Drive Collection is only on SoundCloud now. Anyway, to what I really want to talk about, and what for a long time I considered to be Mika Mioda's magnum opus, Goodbye Despair. I'm gonna spend this part of the video talking about how much I like this album. I imagine Mika hears this all the time and it's gone stale at this point, and I get it, but before anyone gets mad, this is no longer my favorite album by him, at least I think. I don't know, it's up there. But I need to mention it anyway, due to it being the introduction to the 16x9 krollo persona for me. I think this album is awesome. While it's not perfect, I absolutely love it. The title track I think serves its job as being both the title and the opening track perfectly, and for it being the second most streamed song in the album, I think it deserves it. Jet the Hawk, True Fantasy, and Mioda are also very big standouts for me. The main thing I want to talk about in this album is the fact that it's split in half. On the first half, it follows this more digicore/rap style with upbeat songs like Blossom Haze Disco and True Fantasy. But after the album's intermission, it switches to a more lo-fi, dreamlike sound with songs like Mioda and Stormfall. I think both halves of this album are beautiful, and while the switch between the two halves could have been more natural, I think it's fitting. First half feels more like searching for the person you want and protecting them at all costs, while the second half feels more like trying to get this person to stay, trying to be with them a second longer. It's sweet. I'm gonna be quickly going through the next projects, as believe it or not, the whole video isn't going to be about the music. Hope's Peak is great, with my standards being Ultra Despair, Slayer, and Heaven's Arena. Despair's Delusions I couldn't really get into as much as his other projects. Out of Love and Forward are my favourites from there. Then there's Goodbye Despair too, the obvious sequel to Goodbye Despair. While this is great and serves as a pretty good sequel to the original, I can't help but like the original more, despite the clear increase in production value between the two. But it does have some of my favourite songs like Gust of Hope, Excalibur, and Reach for the Sky, which are all really good. This one's fun, I-16/9. This album really goes into rap, and it doesn't really take itself fully seriously, but that doesn't stop it from being super fun. The Enemy is a banger, and the interactions I've had about this is hilarious, because look at this cover. And the fact that there's a song called Lethal Swag. This isn't in the script, I'm just talking at this point. It's just really funny, because I like that the music's good, but it looks so funny. Anyway, after this is Ultra Cosmic James, a fun acid jazz album that just gets me moving. It's really damn catchy. If you're into this kind of chill, funky sound, then I recommend it. I'll play some of my favorites here. Now for the most recent release, and probably what I consider my favorite. Can't You Tell I Want to Dance? First album that was actually here for the release of. I was writing the script the day it came out, right after listening to it, and man, it's up there in album of the year conversation, at least for me. It's in ties with Status Update Music by Leroy and You by Underscore, so that's how you know it's damn good. I was so excited for this album to come out, but it released right at 1 PM when I was in the middle of writing a speech for my English sack, so that was fun. Had me waiting for hours until I could get home, but it was worth it. It's an electropop album through and through, and man, it's a fun one. Here are some of my favorites. It's clear Mika's also in love with this one, considering the influx of tweets he's made about it. Absolutely recommend this one, even if you're not fully familiar with the genre. Also want to mention that on my TikTok, I made a variation for it to be my profile picture. Check out my TikTok, by the way. I post that every single day. Now I'll get into the temcandoanything persona really quick, considering it's the more widely known name. Won't really be diving into the albums as much as I did just then, but it's important that we do talk about some of them. The first temcandoanything project that's still on Spotify, at least, is the Blue Screened My Navi. Is that how you say it? Navi EP? Released in 2023, which is actually my introduction to the temcandoanything name. This EP actually got taken down for a few days early in the year, and upon its return, the samples in The Way I'm Are were removed, leaving it as just an instrumental. So it seems like a copyright thing, which sucks, as the original was pretty good. Then in 2024 is the first temcandoanything full-length album, Temclair's Rave Euphorium, which I'm surprised isn't that popular. I expect to have way more, but Nights as the Wind is by far the most streamed song here, and for good reason. It's also the first collab with Krollo. Then the next one is definitely the most popular project made by Mika. That is the soundtrack of frutiger era. Obviously, this album is inspired by the frutiger era aesthetic, which is inspired by early 2000s technology and nature, and kind of this like surreal look to it. I also can't take this aesthetic seriously, because every time I think of it, I think this one picture with a realistic Bart Simpson, so I can't take it seriously. Anyway, this ended up being the most popular project of Mika's, with each song surpassing 100,000 streams, with Helvetica, Aqua, Aero, and Frutiger Era having 1 million and 2 million streams respectively. This is likely where most people have heard Mika's music, as many of these feature in pretty popular Frutiger Era playlists. It's also got a sequel, which is the next full-length album under the temcandoanything name. Unfortunately, it hasn't seen the same amount of success as its predecessor, but it's still fairly common to see a song from here, Frutiger Era playlist. But personally for me, as someone who isn't really interested in this aesthetic and can't take it seriously, as I said before, these didn't hit as hard for me. After this is when I really wrote this, the great Mika merge occurred, which we'll talk about later. But now, I think it's critical to mention that alongside the Frutiger Era aesthetic, there's another thing that popularized the temcandoanything name, voice banks. Specifically Gumi and Kasane Teto.
Kasane Teto is coming to Fortnite.
I know that's not how you say it. Most songs featuring these two are standalone singles, most famously Side by Side and his most popular song, Get to Me. They also feature in some Krollo albums and Can't You Tell I Want to Dance. It's important to mention this because obviously those most popular songs gave attention to his name in the Vocaloid space, giving him a good reputation among the fan base. Anyway, that's enough of the music for now. Let's talk about the man behind it. This is obviously Mika Mioda, real name Anthony Avila. Born in 2006 in Nicaragua and surrounded by EDM during his childhood, Mika's first known release was Directory Drive Collection, as stated earlier. I tried reaching out to him to fact check this, but yeah, didn't quite get anywhere. Anyway, what we're really here for is this type of Fortnite gameplay.
Cheese him. Alright, bruh. Relax. Alright. Alright, never mind.
Also, funnily enough, as far as I'm aware, there's an unreleased remix of Scary Monsters only in this video at the 138 mark, which I find absolutely hilarious.
Pull up. Where you at? Ooh, pull up.
Also, from what I can tell, 16x9 seems to be some sort of collective, with one of his collaborators being 16x9 Killamanji. I don't really know though. If anyone has information on this, let me know. He's also got a website, MikaMioda.com, that I'll link in the description of this video. Here you can get the whole discography of 16x9 krollo physically on CD, as well as some clothes and posters. I would absolutely cop a Can't You Tell I Want to Date CD, but yeah, I live in Australia. Also, the CD versions of the albums actually come with an extra song, which are also available on Spotify, separate from the album. This also applies to purchases of the album on Bandcamp, with each album having another separate song for these purchases that aren't on Spotify. Back on to Mika, his music draws inspiration from artists like Yabujin and Blade for krollo, as well as Daft Punk and other EDM for the temcandoanything name. Since we're on the topic,
So basically, I'm merging krollo and tem.
on the 23rd of December 2025, Mika would announce that the temcandoanything and 16x9 krollo projects would be merged. Basically, every new project or song to be released would be released under temcandoanything with 16x9 krollo as a feature. As to why this was done, he claims that it was so that everything could be under one account, and that Can't You Tell I Want to Dance would explain why the merge makes sense. And after listening to the album, I kinda get it. I don't know. The music seemingly has remained the same, with songs like Heavenly Host, Guardian Freestyle releasing before the album, which sounds like a krollo song. Maybe I'm not committed enough to realize. But anyway, as long as things aren't too confusing and Mika himself is happy with it, then we have no room to complain. Now for one of the stranger things I've found out about Mika Mioda. I've only really got TikTok recently. Hell, I've only had my account for 2 months, which, as I said, you should check out. I post every day. Anyway, I go to make a video with a krollo song for the sound, and find out there are so many TikToks with this song, all by the same account, frutiger aero central. So I check the account, and every post there are these aesthetic things all with krollo songs and advertising Mika's Instagram. So all signs point to this being him. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's just how you get your name out there. Then I find another one, doing the same thing. Alright, that's fine. 2 accounts isn't a whole lot. Then another, which seems more like an alt. Then another. Then after a bit more looking, I find a grand total of 8 different accounts doing the same thing. Some active and posting on the same day, others abandoned. I swear I found more earlier that I just failed to find now, but when I first stumbled upon this, it felt like a fever dream. Dead at midnight, seeing so many accounts doing this, it just felt strange. It's probably normal and I just haven't seen it before, but it felt weird seeing all this. And if anything, it adds a certain aura to Mika's character, further leaning into these aesthetics that he's trying to achieve. Anyway, that's it for the video. Definitely the most ambitious video I've done in years, since the backroom was one that I've privated. The script is 2.5k words. I've never done a script for any of my new age videos, I guess. They're all just gameplay, but this one's different. It was fun though. I love being able to just talk about things I'm passionate about, with Mika Mioda being one of those things. I know this video didn't really have much of a deep analysis on him, but I just want an excuse to talk about this honestly. If I got anything wrong, if there's anything I missed, please let me know. My next video will probably be more similar to my usual stuff, so stay tuned for that. If you watched all the way until the end, I really appreciate it. It actually means the world to me that you'd sit through this whole thing about me rambling about something I love. For now, I'll be heading out. Listen to Can't You Tell I Want to Dance, and subscribe. See ya.